So this is our kitchen. This is where we do ramen school, udon school, soba school. Like we have exact the same facility in Tokyo, and we have like kind of small version of it in Singapore. Because of COVID-19, like it's been like kind of hard, tough for us to like sort of like conduct like normal classes. But like we started doing it like here in Kagawa and Tokyo, and hopefully the restrictions on the like entry of the country like would be lifted like pretty soon, and like you guys will be able to like come join us for the class. And then let me just explain a little bit about the equipment, the facility we have over here. So we are like so these induction cookers, like electric induction cookers we have, these are big ones, and like 10 of them. And each induction cooker would be like cooking different ingredients, like for example, pork bone, pork backbone, like pork thighs, pork backbone with a pork head, like for Hakata broth and something, a whole chicken and stuff like that. So each part is cooking different ingredients so that students can taste how each ingredient tastes, right? So they can like, to reach their own like recipes, they can put them together, right? They can blend them at different ratios to reach their own recipes. And we're gonna have like the sauce, the tare, 20, 30 different types, like each class, like, we make them from scratch. And flavored oils, different types. So we basically like make like everything from scratch, right? And the students can come here and then like, play around with different components to, reach their own recipes. And they also can work with like, other students who have like, work on like other types of like noodles, like ramen dishes and other things. So it's and you guys can share some of the recipes and know-hows, and so it's very it's a lot of fun. Yeah, so we hope like you guys will like join us soon, and then it's a bit too early maybe, but like we are preparing and working on like kind of online courses that may substitute like some of the classes, the curriculum that we do, like real classes, real courses. So stay tuned. Like we hope to be able to like kind of give you guys a good news pretty soon. So today we have Mr. Takeuchi, you call him Thomas. So he's a native speaker of English, and he has a background in Japanese cuisine. And so he's like to have him like to teach us like some of the practice tips, and he has some like kind of interesting to show you guys.
Hey, thank you, Akira. Once again, my name is Thomas. I'm one of the instructors at the Yamato Noodle School. And today I will be showing you some of the practical tips that might help your noodle business in this hard time. Okay, so one of the big topic is takeout menus. And when you talk about takeout menus, first I want to talk about some of the takeout containers. This is only some of the few takeout containers out in the market, but I want to share with you some of these. Okay, so first we have here is a paper takeout containers. These are great for soupless noodle dishes. For example, yakisoba and mazemen, so soupless ramen. Those are great for these paper containers. And these are great because it's eco-friendly compared to those plastic containers. So that's a great thing about using paper to-go containers. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you've seen these type of paper containers, but this one is interesting. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you've seen some shape like this, but this one, when you're about to eat it, you can open it up so it's easier to eat. Okay, so for example, let's say you order mazemen, and it also has an inner lid as well. You can put the toppings in the inner lid, so it keeps the topping and the noodles separate. So keeps the noodles separate, and just take the inner lid out, and you open the container and just dump the toppings and mix it up, and you just eat it. So this is one of the pretty interesting containers out there. Okay, but obviously you can't have any soup in here. You can't hold any hot ramen soup in here, so that's one of the problems. Okay. So next, here are some of the plastic takeout container options. So this is you often see some yakisoba in here, in these rectangular plastic containers, and this clear takeout container often have some chilled noodle dishes. For example, hiyashi chuka. So that's cold Chinese noodles. And you can also have the sauce separate. So you can keep the sauce and the noodles separate to keep the noodles from not getting soggy. And this one is a pretty common type of container used for ramen. Obviously, because it's plastic, you can hold the hot soup in here, and you need some certain depth to it if you want to serve some hot soup ramen. So it's important to find the appropriate to-go containers when you're thinking about your takeout menu. Okay, so here are just some of the takeout containers out there in the market. Okay, and next I want to talk about how to prepare your noodles when you're preparing your takeout noodle dish. So let's go over to the boiling machine. Okay, so when you're preparing your takeout noodle dish, it's important to wash the noodles after you boil and chill them and coat it with oil. Because one of the problem with takeout noodle dish, the noodles usually clump up together and it's hard to eat, and the noodle is like soggy as well, soggy and soft. So you never want some soggy noodles. So to prevent those two problems, what you need to do is wash and chill the noodles and coat it with oil. So let's give it a try. Okay, so first, I want to boil these noodles. I'm using these wavy noodles. The boiling time should be around 2 minutes. Okay. And after we boil the noodles, you just dump the boiled noodles into this strainer and wash to remove the starch around the noodles. The starch is gonna usually brings the noodles together and clump them up. So you have to remove all the starch and also chill the noodles, because when the noodles are hot, it's gonna soak up more water. It's gonna make the noodles soggy. So make sure to chill the noodles. And lastly, you want to coat the noodles with oil. That's going to prevent the noodles from sticking back together, and also it's going to be like a guard from the noodles soaking up the water again. Okay, and here's the example. Okay, so this one, I just boiled the noodles and just dumped it into the takeout container. Okay, it's like one whole clump. You can't eat this. The noodle's soggy, so I don't recommend this. But this one, after I boiled the noodles, I washed it and chilled it and coated with oil. The noodles are separate, and the noodles are not soggy as well. I boiled this around 30 minutes ago. So it makes a big difference by how you prepare your noodles for your takeout dish. Okay? So 30 more seconds with the noodles. Okay, the noodles are ready. I'm going to dump the boiled noodles into the strainer. And you have to wash the noodles. the water's a little dirty from the starch, so I'm just gonna throw that dirty water away and then wash it with the new. You should wash your noodles at least twice. Okay, so the noodles, the starch is removed and it's nicely chilled. So now I want to put the noodle into the bowl. And you can use just vegetable oil, or you can use flavored oil that you use for your ramen, maybe some garlic oil or some leek oil. And just coat the noodles with oil. And that's going to prevent the noodles from sticking back together again. Then, and place it into the takeout container. Okay. So the noodles should be prepared like this, and make sure to have the liquid separate. So for example, if you have that ramen soup or mazemen sauce, make sure to have it on the side so the noodles won't soak up the liquid and become soggy again. Okay, so that's how to prepare your takeout noodle dish. So next, I want to talk about another way to serve your takeout menu. This product is sold at our sister company, Sansho. We produce and sell noodles as well. And this one is kind of like a meal kit. So it's packaged with some raw noodles and a packet instant soup. So this one is Tokyo Shoyu Ramen. And this was Hakata Tonkotsu Ramen. And this one is Yokohama Tsukemen. Right? So one of the problem with takeout menu is that the noodle dish often gets like cold and the noodles are soggy. So if you serve your customers like this, if you just give them raw noodles, they can boil it at home and they can have freshly hot ramen at home. Okay. So let's just give it. I'm gonna finish off one of these noodle kits. I'm gonna make the Hakata Tonkotsu Ramen. And by the way, these packet instant soup is just like one that's bought. So, and you just package it with your homemade craft noodles. It's gonna become like a improved instant ramen, just boost up instant ramen. It's a little bit, it's better than those dried instant noodles. Okay, so let's give it a try. Okay. So first thing I want to do is put the packet instant soup into the bowl. And let's boil the noodles. This one's Hakata Tonkotsu noodles, so the boiling time should be around 30 seconds. And today I'm assuming that it's going to be boiled at home. I'll be showing you how to boil at home using like a pot. And while the noodles are boiling, I want to pour in this hot water into the bowl. Okay, noodles are ready. Just pick up the noodles with the strainer. Make sure to remove all that boiling water. It's going to dilute the soup, so take your time on completely removing the boiling water. Just mix the soup, just in case it's still on the bottom. Put the noodle into the soup. And line up the noodles nicely. And I have some toppings. This is not sold with that meal kit, but it'll be great to package your meal kit with some homemade toppings as well. Right here, I have some pork chashu. Right? And soft-boiled egg. And some green onion. And some sesame. So just like this, by having those meal kits, you can have the customers have hot, fresh ramen at home as well. Okay, so this is another option if you're thinking about a takeout or take-home dishes for your restaurant. Meal kit just like this. Just package raw noodles and instant soup together. And make sure to have some instruction as well. Some people don't know how to boil the noodles or prepare the soup. Okay. And the third option, I wanted to show you frozen ramen. So this one is frozen ramen. So on the bottom, it has frozen soup and frozen boiled noodles and frozen toppings on top. So what you need to do is just put it into a pot and just heat it up. So it's easier than the meal kit because you don't need to prepare your hot soup. Hot water to boil and hot water for the soup. So this is another option. Okay, so let's give this a try as well. So I'm going to put the frozen ramen into the pan and I'm going to heat it up. These are great because honestly, when I'm at home, I'm too lazy to even prepare like a hot water to boil the noodles. For this, all you need to do is to have this pot and heat up the ramen, and you'll have a fresh hot ramen at home. Yeah, this will need some time to defrost the noodles. And for people that are thinking about making these frozen ramen, make sure to have boiled noodles instead of raw noodles because you can't cook the raw noodles enough in the stock. So make sure to fully cook the noodles and place it onto the soup and freeze it. Okay, this is going to take a little bit more time to defrost. So I want to show you some of the other noodle options. that you can make with the noodle machine. Okay, so these thin ramen noodles, this is for Hakata Tonkotsu ramen. The characteristic is that it's very thin and usually low hydration noodles. So that means there's low amount of liquid into the dough, and it's perfect for Hakata Tonkotsu ramen. And this one is tsukemen noodles, and because it's brown because it has some walnut paste mixed into the dough. And for tsukemen, it's usually high hydration, so there's a little bit more liquid mixed into the dough, which gives that silkiness and that chewiness. And the wavy noodles, these are made with that wavy attachment attached to that cutter. So it's not done by hand, it's done by the machine, that waviness. So if you want to make some wavy noodles, you can make it with the noodle machine as well. Okay, and the next, this one is interesting. Oh, by the way, the ramen is almost ready. So like this, the noodle is ready, and the toppings, and also have that black garlic oil on top as well. So these frozen ramen is another great option if you're thinking about your a takeout menu for your restaurant. The customer can all they need to do is prepare a pot and then heat up that frozen ramen to defrost and heat it up, and they'll have a fresh hot ramen at home. Okay. Okay, so let's get back to the noodles. This one, it's a mixture of green spinach dough and red pepper dough. So as you can see, this one side is green, which is spinach dough, and one side is red because of the red pepper dough. And the two dough is sandwiched together, so it gives us one side green, one side red. Or here's a gyoza skin that's marbled, okay, marble design with the red dough and green dough. This is made by mixing that dough clumps together, the red dough clumps and green dough clumps, and run it through the noodle machine, and it's going to give out this marble design. So this is another, this is a great thing about using the noodle machine. You can make these interesting noodle types rather than just a simple ramen noodles. Okay, so lastly, I want to talk about how to make your noodles translucent. So we get some questions, how to make your noodles translucent. Okay. Okay, so this one, there's two points for you if you want to make your noodles translucent. One is to make your hydration level higher. So make sure to have a little bit more liquid mixed into the dough. That's going to make the noodles a little bit more translucent. And the second tip is to age the noodles for at least three days. Okay, so these ramen noodles, you can it'll last for over a week in the fridge. So just age the noodles for at least 3 days, and it's gonna make your noodles a little bit more translucent. So let's just test it out. So this one, these two are exact same recipe, but this one is not aged. It was just made today, and this one is aged for 3 days. Okay, so let's give it a try. Okay, so by aging the noodles, what it does is that, so usually when the ramen noodles are just made, it has some air bubbles in the just stuck in that noodle dough. So what you want to do is you want to let the noodle age in the fridge so that air bubbles in the dough will slowly be released, and eventually you're going to have that noodle dough more dense noodle dough and without any air bubbles, which gives that translucent look. Right? Okay, one more minute with the noodles. 今のところ質問とかですか？ないですか？ないです。Okay, the noodles are ready. So instead of soup, I'm going to put the noodles into this water. Might be hard to see, but the one on the right is a little bit more translucent than one on the left. So let's pick it up. See, this one is the noodles that is aged for 3 days. It's slightly translucent. And this one is just made. Okay. So once again, if you want to make your noodles translucent, make sure to bring up the hydration level up and also age the noodles for at least 3 days. It's going to allow the noodles to release all the air bubbles in the dough to make the noodles translucent.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. That was great. And so this was our first time like doing this kind of class, like based on some of the questions we got like from our noodle restaurant customers, and like having these questions, it's great because they help like shape our next classes. So if you have like certain areas like interest, maybe like some like real challenges that you're facing as a restaurant, these questions will help like the challenges that we want to solve, and like come out this like tough time together like stronger. So please send us some some of the questions you might have, some of the challenges like you are facing as a restaurant, and that would really help us like shape our next classes. So we'd really appreciate it. And so we are going to be doing like this kind of class more like we want to make it like more valuable, helpful to you guys like as a business like for your businesses. So please help us make these classes better. And then if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so today. And we're going to be like broadcasting like more like information that's valuable to your businesses. So please. So thank you and bye. Bye bye.